Hello, John. How you doing today?
Doing good.
Good. All right. So I'm glad to be meeting with you today. Before we get started, I'd just like to tell you that I am the school counselor here at your school, and my job is to help students like yourself. Okay, and my name is Mr. Lee, and if you having problems or concerns, I or my other colleagues be who you would come talk to. Okay. Now today, whatever we talk about today is private between us. The only thing would change that is if you talk about doing self-harm to yourself or to others, then I would have to go out and reach out to other people who might be able to help us. Do you understand that?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. You got any questions?
Not any at the moment.
Okay. All right. So what brings you in today?
I'm having problems with time management.
Okay. Time management. All right. Can you explain, like, what do you mean by time management?
For example, the work is boring.
Okay.
Very boring. I'll start on it and then I'll get distracted by something. And then I'll just kind of put it off a little bit
Okay.
and come back and finish it later, but I never get to the finishing part.
Okay. All right. So tell me a little bit more about what grade you're in and what courses are you taking so I can get a better understanding.
I am in the 10th grade. I've been struggling with algebra a lot.
Okay.
It's not that I don't necessarily know how to do it. It's just that it's not really it's boring. It's not, it's not keeping my attention.
Not keeping your attention. Okay. So what I'm hearing you say is that your algebra classes are boring. They're not keeping your attention. And therefore, so it's not keeping your attention. So what has been the results of that lately?
My grades have been slipping a little bit.
Okay.
I've been struggling to get work turned in on time. I tend to put it off a little bit. I'll go hang out with friends or, get on a game, check my phone, and I'll just kind of forget to do it.
Okay. All right. So I noticed you said you hang out with friends. When you hanging out with these friends, what do y'all do?
We'll just hang out, play games. Every now and then we may, go, mess with people, play pranks or something like that. But other than that, that's about it.
Just about it? All right. And are these friends in the same grade with you?
Yes, a couple of them are older. Some of them are juniors, seniors.
Okay. All right. So tell me what a typical algebra class would look like for you.
I walk in, the teacher talks, writes on the board, and then I leave.
Who's your teacher?
It's a great question. I don't even know.
Oh, so you don't know who your teacher is?
No, not really. I just kind of walk in, listen to them, ramble, and then leave.
Okay. Why is that?
He's doesn't really interact with the class other than teaching. At least I haven't noticed.
Okay. All right. So I hear you saying that your teacher, all they do is come in, get on the board, and don't interact with the students or develop any kind of relationship with the students.
Pretty much. Some of them do, like my other teachers, but
Okay. So if I'm hearing you correctly, other teachers develop a relationship with you, but this particular algebra teacher does not.
Yeah, that is correct.
That's correct. All right. What is it that makes you feel like your algebra teacher doesn't want to develop a relationship with you?
I'm not really sure. I've never really tried to reach out to him.
Why haven't you tried to reach out to him?
I mean, he's a teacher. Why would I? I'm a student.
Okay. All right. So you are a student. So why don't you feel like you should have to talk to them though? I guess that's the question I'm asking. Like, what is it about the relationship that lends it to you not feeling comfortable talking to him?
There's nothing really stopping me. I just don't see the importance of it.
Okay. All right. So let's try this. Let's take a look at the situation a little differently. Okay. Let's think of a perfect world scenario where you were able to talk to your algebra teacher and get the help or the resources you need to get there. and tell me what that situation would look like.
The teacher would be a little more interactive.
How would he be interactive? Explain that.
You know,
part
he
to me.
could make games for students. Maybe have a video instead of him lecturing. It gets tiring hearing the same person speak over and over. Maybe give different assignments. Do homework differently and not maybe as much.
Okay. All right. So what I'm hearing you saying, for the things that you just said would make little things a little better. So what I'm hearing you saying, if the work was a little different, more engaging, maybe possibly interactive games to help you learn will possibly have you more engaged in the lessons.
Yes, I don't really work as well just by myself. I think a lot of group projects, things
Okay.
like that would also help.
All right. Group projects. Okay. All right. So let's back up and let's paraphrase this. So we have a problem with time management, and what it seems like to me you're saying is if your work was a little bit more engaging, if you was able to work in groups, and if you had some a better relationship with your teacher, that would lend itself for you to be able to do your work in a more productive manner. Am I understanding that correctly?
Sounds about right.
Okay. All right. So what kind of plan, what if you could formulate a perfect game plan to incorporate all those elements we just got through talking about, what would that look like? What would that game plan look like?
Guess I haven't thought about that. I need more thought on that.
Come on, take your time.
Perhaps actually speaking more with the teacher.
Okay.
Actually knowing the teacher's name,
Okay.
for one, would help.
Okay. All right. So speaking more with the teacher, knowing the teacher's name. Okay. How would we go about getting the teacher's name?
I would say just talk to him like I do my friends.
Okay.
Respectfully.
Yeah. Okay. All right. What else?
Maybe ask more questions in class.
Okay.
Try to suggest things.
Okay. All right. Okay, cool. Well, John, sounds like we have a working game plan that we could possibly put in place. What I would like to see next week is if you can take two of those things that we talked about, and it's your choice which one and what your accountability to implement. And then next week when we come back, we'll talk about how that went. How did that sound?
Sounds good to me.
Okay. All right, John, you got any questions for me?
I do have another question.
Yes. What's your question?
About multitasking.
Multitasking. Okay. What's your question?
In some classes, it seems it doesn't work as well.
Okay. Can you give me an example?
For example, with all the algebra homework, as I mentioned earlier, I struggle to get all the other homework, and when I multitask, sometimes my grades aren't as good. But sometimes it does work.
Okay. All right. So, what do you normally study at?
Just kind of anywhere, which some places are better than others. Sometimes we go to the library, sometimes with my friends, sometimes at my house, but I end up just getting on games or something like that.
Okay. All right. So, multitasking, one thing you could possibly do is change your location of where you're studying to where there's less distractions. Okay. Do you plan out what you plan on working on for that day?
Not really. Just kind of go.
Kind of go
Figure
with
it out as I go.
Figure out as you go. Okay. So let's try this. So multitasking can be beneficial, can be helpful, but in this sense, when you're dealing with math and you're trying to do good, you might want to focus on one thing at a time. Okay? So say you're doing algebra, you just focus on algebra, but give yourself a time limit. Don't try to do it all in 32 seconds or try to spread it out an hour. Find out what's comfortable for you. If you work best in 30-minute time frames, 30-minute time frames.
But what do I do if I have too little time?
Too little time.
For example, if I want to hang out with my friends.
Okay. So then that's where you got to weigh your options. Like what is more important. So you say hang out with your friends. Remember I asked you a question like what you and your friends are doing. So what is it that you're doing that you feel like is more important than algebra?
Just like being around some of my friends, but some of them don't make the best decisions all the time, I guess.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you have friends. You want to study, but you like your friends, but they're not really making best decisions. Have you talked to your friends about your goals?
I haven't really thought about that. They usually would probably just make fun of me for that.
Okay.
But not all of them. Some of them, they help me study and all that.
Okay. So you do have friends that will help you study. When do they study?
They study a lot. They usually are saying they can't hang out sometimes because they study.
Oh, okay. So you got friends, if I understand you correctly, you got your friends that do study, correct? And we're struggling with our multitasking time management. Could you ask them what do they do to be successful? Because there's not a cookie cutter answer for stuff like that. You could probably get some advice, ask them for some advice. Say, hey, what are you doing that allows you to study and get everything done? And just sit there and talk to them and ask them. Could you do something like that?
That does sound like a good idea.
Yeah. All right. And what else you think you can do in regards to the friends that are studying?
I've noticed they put their phones and other stuff away that they don't need when studying in environments where they can't easily be distracted.
Okay. Now, what is your relationship like with those friends that do their studying?
They're pretty good. It's pretty good for the most part.
Okay.
They just, prioritize studying and making sure they have everything else taken care of first, other than hanging out.
Okay. So, all right. So we talked about a lot of things today, John, and a lot of things to think about. What is one thing that you're gonna work on this week?
Time management.
Okay.
Connecting with my teacher and such better. And making sure that I make sure I'm doing the right thing, studying, prioritizing a lot better than I have been.
Okay. All right. Sound like you had a good working game plan. All right. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we leave today?
I think that's all.
Okay, John. Well, thank you for your time. Like I said, my door is open, so if you need at any point in time, just feel free to come down and we'll talk if you want to meet beforehand. Okay?
All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah, have a good day.